13 of the NFL season, not in first place in the AFC North. They're going to try to reverse a trend that's seen them lose 4 of their last 6 against the Buffalo Bills team, equally hungry for a victory as they try to chase down the Patriots in the AFC East. Thanks very much for being with us for the matchup presented by Shell Polymers. Alongside Missy Matthews and Matt Williamson, I'm Rob King. Missy, all is not lost for the Steelers. They've just made their path to the playoffs a little more difficult.
Yes, unfortunately, and it did feel like things were going right at the beginning of the game in Chicago for the Steelers, but unfortunately another lead at halftime that quickly evaporated. But again, as you said, the Bills team, they also want to win, and for the Steelers, this would be a huge way to get back into the win column and keep pace in the AFC playoff picture.
Matt, this will not be one of our keys, but a better third quarter would be nice because they had halftime leads against Seattle, Chicago, and Green Bay and got the ball first and couldn't add to those leads and ultimately wound up losing all 3 games.
Yeah, and last year they were phenomenal in the third quarter. They did a great point differential, made a lot of halftime adjustments that really paid off for them. This year it hasn't gone the same way. But, I mean, you look at the AFC, the playoff picture is pretty murky right now. There's a lot of big-time teams that on the outside looking in, including the Bills, including the Chiefs as we speak. So still a lot of story to be written.
And technically right now the Steelers as well, but hopefully they can get back into that playoff picture with a victory over the Bills. Time for our key matchups, and for me, I'll lead off. Run the football. Love the formula with what they did against the Chicago Bears for the first time all year. They ran more plays than their opponents. They ran for 186 yards in this game. They won the time of possession handily. Of course, they still didn't win the game, but I would love to see this again. I think this is a formula for success. Run the ball, control the clock, keep Allen and that Bills offense off the field.
1,000%. And everyone harps on the negatives after a loss, but I think the offensive line's in the best place it's been all year. I thought they had an exceptional game, especially in the run game. Turned into a 2-headed backfield. Gainwell's demanding the football. He makes big plays left and right. And they're coming off a game where they've had the most rush attempts of the season. So stay dedicated to it.
Felt like they could have run for 250 yards. It was just that effective against the Bears. And we've seen it be effective at times, but this is the best it's been all year.
But oh, by the way, the Bills' rush defense is highly questionable.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It will be a tall task this week, and I do think, it was funny last week, Arthur Smith joked with the media, what do you guys want me to run the ball like 40 times? And it felt like that's where they were going in terms of using both of those guys. But I think if, just a few of the plays in the air hit, we would probably be talking about a balanced offense this week. Unfortunately, that was not the case, especially when you turn the ball over. So hopefully that's something they can build on with the run game, keep that consistent, and then also, get more guys involved in the passing game as well.
And we'll get to that in a moment, but I'll take 40 runs. That'd be okay with me. Against a Bills team that hasn't been able to stop the run. They've been very dinged up, very good against the pass. That, again, the Steelers are going to have to throw the ball at times, and that leads us to your key with the tackles. We don't know for sure who the left tackle is going to be, but if the Bills do have a strength on defense when it comes to trying to defend the pass, it is with the 2 pass rushers on the outside.
Yeah, the 2 notables, and they'll rotate through their defensive line.
Espinez is a good one, but the 2 guys you're going to mention.
Is Bosa and Rousseau.
Right.
I mean, both of whom have had a lot of success in this league. Bosa, they don't want to play him a ton of snaps. They want to designate him for pass rush situations, but he's still highly effective. Rousseau has rare length, and I think he's coming on strong throughout his career. And you mentioned the tackle situation. We know Broderick Jones isn't going to be out there, so I would think you're going to have Squaltanu to kind of man things by himself and will help the left side. But that's a pretty good pairing.
Yep, and that would be probably Rousseau would be the guy he would be facing on that right side. So, okay, so we've run the ball. We've protected Aaron Rodgers, we think is going to be playing. Looks like it's trending well for them, but wouldn't it be nice to find DK Metcalf? Because, Missy, that's your key matchup, and that has been lacking for a while for the Steelers.
Yeah, it felt like in the beginning of the Bears game we were moving in the right direction. He found the end zone, the stadium where his dad played his career in the NFL. But I think in terms of utilizing DK for the yak yards and also just to move the ball down the field, he leads all of the Pittsburgh wide receivers with 8 20-plus or more catches. But the problem is he's only had 2 of those over the past 6 games. So that's something that really needs to come back. And I also think you can't just rely on him to get the yak yards. So it's something that they're going to have to consciously make a decision to move the ball downfield and not get stuck in situations where you're asking the defense once again to help you out. Because I think we saw not as bad as in LA, obviously, but in the Chicago game, it just felt like a little bit too much. Even though they won the time of possession, the defense was being relied on heavily.
Yep, and we saw him get open, and early in the game, second offensive play, he was underthrown. We saw Roman Wilson, by the way, get deep earlier. He was overthrown on that one. So there are some plays out there, but boy, the Steelers have got to start making some of the passing game.
Oh, 1,000%. I mean, the intermediate and downfield passing game that's really let them down. And we know it's a short-centric passing game, which is fine, and it acts as kind of a ball control situation, but you got to hit on some of those shots.
All right, it is time now for our weekly Immaculate prediction. It is live. It's an opportunity for you to compete against Steelers Nation with your pick. And our question this week, will Pat Freiermuth record at least one touchdown? We're giving away an autographed Pat Freiermuth jersey, a $50 Steelers Pro Shop gift card, and a classic Terrible Towel. Up next, how can the Steelers slow down the Bills' offense? Led by reigning MVP Josh Allen. We'll let you know when the matchup, presented by Shell Polymers, resumes.
Steelers Nation, gather around, because what is happening right now in Pittsburgh is bigger than a losing streak, bigger than a crisis of confidence, and bigger than any national talking head shouting into a microphone hoping for drama. What we are witnessing is the moment where an entire franchise sits at a crossroads, and the entire NFL is watching to see whether the Pittsburgh Steelers fold under pressure or rides from it the same way they have risen for decades. And let me make this clear from the start. The narrative that the Steelers are done, that the organization is broken, that Mike Tomlin is already packing his bags for another job is not only exaggerated, it is fundamentally disconnected from what this team historically does. Pittsburgh fights, Pittsburgh adjusts, and Pittsburgh finds a way back. This week, the noise grew louder than ever after national pundit Jim Rome took to his show and lit the match. He said the Steelers don't look like the Pittsburgh Steelers and claimed that Tomlin's departure after the 2025 season is all but certain. He questioned the identity, the toughness, the scheme, the direction. He went as far as to call the culture toxic. And yes, I get it. This team blew a lead in the AFC North. This team put itself in a position where playoff dreams are suddenly unstable. And this team has looked predictable, at times uncreative, especially on the defensive side where simple concepts are being dissected by opposing quarterbacks far too easily. But let's slow down and look at the full picture. Because that's what national shows rarely do. Pittsburgh is tied for the division lead, not dead, not eliminated, not hopeless, tied. Despite injuries, despite inconsistency at quarterback, despite a roster overhaul that saw the team replace the entire QB room, trade George Pickens, bring in DK Metcalf, and re-engineer its identity on the fly. That level of upheaval would sink most franchises. In Pittsburgh, it has created turbulence, yes, but it has not destroyed the foundation. And that foundation is exactly why the Steelers still have a path forward. When Rome says the Steelers no longer resemble the Pittsburgh Steelers, what he fails to acknowledge is that transition seasons look exactly like this: ugly, chaotic, confusing. And let's not pretend the Giants rumor makes any sense. Aditi Kinkarawa shut that down immediately this week. She reminded the football world that Tomlin does not want New York media, he does not want the circus, he does not need the noise. Pittsburgh is one of the few cities where a coach can operate without being eaten alive daily by the press. Tomlin knows it, ownership knows it, and the league knows it. The idea that he is craving a move to the Giants is fiction made to stir headlines, nothing more. But let's be honest, too. Tomlin is not blameless. His conservative philosophy, his loyalty to struggling coordinators, and his reluctance to modernize certain schemes have cost this franchise real opportunities. Matt Canada should have been removed far earlier. Kenny Pickett's development was not protected. Terrell Austin's defensive approach has been stale. Those points are valid. Those points matter. And yet when people claim that the only solution is to let Tomlin walk, that's where the conversation becomes detached from reality. This is one of the most stable organizations in sports. The Steelers have had 3 head coaches in 55 years. Tomlin has never had a losing season. He is under contract until 2027, and the Rooney family is not impulsive. They do not swing wildly because of one bad stretch. They build, they stabilize, they evolve, and most importantly, they trust their process. This is the same team that roared to a 4-1 start. The same team that, when Rodgers is healthy, has shown bursts of competitiveness. The same team that has young talent on both sides of the ball that is still growing into their roles. Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Kenneth Gainwell emerging as a pass-game weapon. DK Metcalf's leadership stabilizing a receiving group in transition. The defensive line developing new depth pieces. This roster is not in ruins. It is in development. And in development comes opportunity. Everyone talks about what Tomlin has done wrong, but nobody talks about what Pittsburgh still does better than most franchises. They don't quit. They don't fracture. They don't implode. They don't burn the house down every time something goes wrong. They look at the situation, adapt, and push into December with purpose. And if there is one thing Mike Tomlin has mastered in his career, it is rallying a team when the outside world has already buried them. Many people forget that last season, Pittsburgh surged in December, clawed their way back into the hunt, and showed the exact same resilience that is still baked into the DNA of this franchise. This season is not over. Not even close. If this team gets healthy, if Rodgers stabilizes the offense, if the young receivers take one more step, if the defense simplifies just enough to let their talent breathe, Pittsburgh will not only be competitive, they will be dangerous. Because the AFC is full of flawed teams. The Bills are a mess. The Bengals are wounded. The Dolphins are inconsistent. The Houston Texans are explosive but young. This playoff picture is wide open, and the Steelers are still very much alive. So yes, the criticism is fair. The heat on Tomlin is real. The frustrations from fans are justified. But the idea that the Steelers are finished, that Tomlin is guaranteed to walk away, that this team cannot turn things around, that is where the national narrative becomes fiction. Pittsburgh has shocked the league before. They can do it again. And if there is one thing every Steelers fan knows deep down, when everyone doubts them, that is exactly when they rise. Steelers Nation, I want to hear from you. Do you think this team still has a run in them? Do you believe Tomlin should stay or go? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit the like button if you want more content like this, and subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire so you never miss a new breakdown. The season is far from done, and we're riding every moment together.